Hello, my name's Hilaire and I'm joined by Joolz Sparks, and we're two poets who have written a collection called London Undercurrents, which explores the hidden histories of London's unsung heroines north and south of the river. I'm based in Battersea and Joolz is based in Islington, North London, and we researched women in our different parts of London and have woven those poems together into this collection, jumping back and forth across the river and also back and forth in time. And for this year's Wandsworth Heritage Festival, we're going to read 3 poems from our collection. So I'm going to read one about lady cyclists in Battersea Park.
And I'm going to read one about a little girl who wants to be a footballer in Arsenal.
And then we'll read a poem which is about a daring female tightrope walker in the 19th century crossing on her rope, crossing the Thames.
Thank you very much. Hope you enjoy it. 3, 2, 1.
So here's a photo of me cycling in Battersea Park. Now, I grew up in Melbourne, Australia, and I did learn to ride a bicycle then, but I was never very confident and I didn't actually cycle very much. But when I came to London, I got a bike and I started cycling to and from work and really discovered the freedom of cycling and a sense also of suddenly realizing that actually, even though I thought I wasn't good at any kind of physical activities, I was good at cycling, which built my confidence. So when Joolz and I were discussing the different kind of aspects of women's lives that we wanted to research, we talked about, you know, how did women travel across London? When did they travel and what modes did they use? And I decided I wanted to have a look at the history of cycling in London. And I discovered that in the summer of 1895, there was a cycling craze amongst middle and upper class women. And at that point, bicycles were beyond the means of working class women. And the place that they used to, a favourite place to congregate to practice what was then seen as a risque activity for women was Battersea Park. So they would cycle over into the park and go cycling around and then stop and have breakfast together or lunch. And at the same time, there was also a movement for what was called rational dress. So the idea that women could be allowed to dress in clothes that were suitable to whatever activity they were undertaking, so which included bloomers for cycling. So this poem is called Lady Cyclist, Summer 1895. Brazen in bloomers, I weave through the throng, streaming south over the river, into the lush cooln of Battersea Park, the height of daring. Wed to my saddle, I own the carriageway, proving my balance as I lean, tilt, sway. My quickening pins glory in their rational garb. I swish, whoosh, slalom between wayward Mayfair ladies, Chelsea's untamed daughters. The safety bicycle, our new bosom friend. I care not a fig for my flushing cheeks, my runaway hair, the flash of azaleas, nor the gentlemen who stare. I am rider and vehicle, racing full pelt, lap after lap after lap.
I live within a stone's throw of the Arsenal Emirates Stadium. And when I first moved here, I knew there was a women's football team. I'm not into football at all, but I knew that. And I just assumed that they played in the stadium. It wasn't until researching for our project and for our book that I discovered that the women's team have their own grounds in Boreham Wood. And they, for many years, they were only permitted to play at the major stadium on occasion. because they felt that they weren't a particularly big draw and they weren't going to bring money in. Things have changed quite dramatically since I've been living here, and Hilaire and I have even been to see the women's team play in Tottenham Stadium, and Arsenal women's team played Barcelona recently. They got absolutely trounced, unfortunately, but it was brilliant that they are in the stadium now. So things are gradually changing. I never thought I would write a poem about football because I've not been majorly into it, but the grounds have really helped me throughout the lockdown. I walked around and round and round and cleared my head and thought about the feeling of belonging you get about being part of following a team for the whole of your life. So I wanted to write a poem from the perspective of a little girl back before women's football had become more prominent, and her dreaming of the days when she could be a footballer. Permitted to play, Arsenal Football Stadium, home end, 1991. Dad, when I grow up, I will be first division, midfield, score the winning goal on this turf, Arsenal Stadium, Gillespie Road. Teacher says, I'm better than the boys. Dad, I can beat them on this pitch, with you and Mum eating hot dogs in the red seats, waving scarves. On telly, they only show the men's. Dad, when can I play for Arsenal? When? And this poem, as you can see, is written in 4-4-2 formation.
I first found out about a woman called Madame Blondie, or known as Madame Blondie, in a local history book early on when we started researching for London Undercurrents. And it just mentioned that she had, in August 1861, she had attempted to cross the Thames from Battersea to Cremorne Gardens on a tightrope, but she'd had to abandon her attempt as the tightrope started to collapse. So I was quite intrigued anyway about that a Victorian woman would try and cross the Thames by a tightrope. When I did some more research, I found out that she was actually called Selena Young, and she was a professional acrobat and circus performer. And she was also known as Pauline Violante, and then also the nickname of Madame Blondine referred to French acrobat Charles Blondin, who had crossed over Niagara Falls on a tightrope a few years prior to this. She actually then, a few days after her first attempt to cross on the tightrope, she made a second and successful attempt, which wasn't mentioned in the local history book. And I thought this was an amazing feat that she performed. And it was also incredible spectacle. There were thousands of people on both sides of the river watching her do this, as well as people in boats on the river beneath her route across the Thames on this rope. It's actually, there's a suggestion that her first attempt was sabotaged and that somebody had tampered with the weights that were meant to keep the rope tight. So undeterred by this, she made a second attempt and was successful. And to make it even more extraordinary, she performed this feat wearing Albanian national costume for some reason. Thames Crossing, second attempt, 19th August, 1861. Start.
Farewell, Battersea. Advancing step by practiced step with my balance pole on properly weighted rope. This time I will reach Cremorne Gardens.
Finish, 7 minutes.
Hurrah, hurrah!
She's done it, bravo. Thank you for watching, and thank you to Wandsworth Heritage Festival and to Holland Park Press.
If you like what you heard, you can buy the book at hollandparkpress.co.uk. There's lots of other lovely books on there as well. There's poetry, prose, all sorts of amazing things. They're a wonderful publisher, and it would be great if you could buy from them. You can follow us on Twitter at L_Undercurrents, and we also have a WordPress site as well where you can find out more about where we're reading. Thank you so much, and get out there and do some sports.